Welcome, everybody, here to the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. I'm your host, Andrew Valentin, and I hope you're all having a wonderful Wednesday. We are, of course, coming to you live here from the Illinois Media School here in Lombard, Illinois. Again, wherever it is, Jay Letterman.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, Darren, I hope it is just right. And it has been a very long day for all of us.
Yep, that's the day right there. That sums up the day.
Yeah, absolutely. One very special is, of course, the man himself who has done everything he can to still be here, ladies and gentlemen. And thank goodness, because it's always good to see his happy, smiling face. Mr. Drew Willem. Drew, how are you doing, man?
Happy and smiling. Can you tell?
If you can't tell, I was alluding to the fact that this is probably not going to be one of those days.
Yeah, I'm going to be a sarcastic prick probably the whole show, so it could be fun for the audience.
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, it wouldn't be the first time I've had to deal with it. As you know, one of my existing best friend / co-partner in life, Tom McKinney, has been quite the same in many ways. In fact, there was one show where he did it for a whole half a show, and we pretty much just sat here going, yeah, yeah, we're going to keep doing this.
Yep.
It turned into a very childish thing.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, sounds about right indeed. Well, Drew, today is a Bears mania, bonanza, whatever you want to call it. It is full Chicago Bears today because there's been so much news coming out.
A lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But are you ready to kind of kick this off on what could be I think, very interesting note?
Yes, please.
Let's do this then, folks. So yes, of course, Chicago Bears. If you don't know, there's been a ton of news coming up, but before we actually get into the team, this has been news that we've kind of talked about already in the past, but now we are getting certainly the buildup of it. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot has officially announced that their plans and making pitches to keep the Bears in Soldier Field. As you can see right now, this is actually a rendering of what I think is really SoFi Stadium put in Chicago, with rendered pieces of the Bears being in there to kind of give you an idea of what it would look like if the Bears, I guess, redid the whole stadium and made it look more like SoFi, which I'm going to be honest, I didn't even think that was a possibility. But according to Mayor Lightfoot, I guess with these renderings, it is a real possibility. So she has, if I can, I'll read a little excerpt of what she had to say in her statement. She says, an improved Soldier Field will deliver a world-class visitor experience. Furthermore, any of these proposed renovations will allow Soldier Field to retain its role as an economic engine for Chicago for years to come, as these changes will allow us to keep bringing sports, music, and other exciting events to our city. She also added in that comment as well, apparently, according to what the Twitter has been saying, I believe DJ Scott was the one who kind of tweeted this out, that I guess she even added that there were, if the Bears are not interested in staying in a renovated new Soldier Field, perhaps there would be another NFL team that would be interested in. After all, there are many cities that have two teams. So she also alluded to that as well. Now, Drew, I don't know if you've heard of the plans, and we'll get into the plans here in a little bit, but I don't know if you've heard of them, but what are your initial thoughts now on Mayor Lightfoot basically making the what seems to be a huge proposal put down on paper for the potential of a dome over Soldier Field? What are your thoughts?
Why the hell does it take the Bears buying or trying to buy a piece of property in Arlington Heights for you to want to do this?
Yeah.
For the fans, for the city. Why does it take all of that?
Yeah.
For you to be like this? She was heckling the Bears and mocking the Bears prior to all of this.
Oh, yeah.
So now all of a sudden you're like, oh, yeah, let's work with the Bears. Oh, yeah, I love the Bears. Let's keep them here.
Right.
I don't think she really cares. She cares about the money that it'll bring.
Right.
But then again, who's paying for all of this? I don't think Chicago wants more tax increase to make this happen.
Oh, yeah. That's what.
Are they going to get private investors? Why would the Bears put 1 cent into a stadium renovation that they don't own?
Yeah.
There's no point.
Not even.
They get zero funds from any concerts, anything else that goes on there. Why would they do that?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Now, the picture of their idea looked really, really nice.
Of course.
Looked great.
Yeah.
But
Must look really nice when you copy it.
I heard the potential of adding more seats. They'd have to add more bathrooms. I hear it's already a problem there with bathrooms and situation there, and just going to concessions. And it's not a great stadium. There would have to be a lot of work done on this stadium.
Absolutely.
And I think in order for the Bears to want to be involved in this and do this, they would have to be in ownership of the stadium. And I think they would rather move to Arlington Heights, build the stadium there, build everything up around there, build the organization up more, and then hopefully they'll sell it for a lot of money, and we can get some new ownership in here.
Well said, obviously. I mean, I'm in the same boat. It doesn't make a lot of sense for the Bears to stay in Soldier Field, which, listen, it's a historic landmark. It's going to be there forever. If you want to give this to another team, an XFL team, an NFL team, by all means, move them on in. I think the fact that she's doing this, I think, is
too little, too late.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you basically were trying to say, oh, really? You want to move? Go ahead and move. See how it is. And they went, all right. And they called your bluff on, and you went, oh, no. They called me out on it. And so, yeah, now you're being forced to potentially move. Say to the Bears, okay, now wait a minute before you move. Let's talk about this. Like, it's the whole thing of, like, you know what? If you want to leave, you go. You just go. It's like when a relationship kind of comes to an end, right? You tell the person to leave, and you're like, oh, no, wait, they're actually going to leave. Wait, hold on a second. Don't leave. Like, let's talk this out. Like, let's think this through, right? But again, like you said, too little, too late. It's at this point, you've ridiculed them. You called them out. You said they couldn't even use the name of the city in their name. They have to be Arlington Heights. First off, you don't have any command over that. They can use that name however they want. They're still within the limits of the state of Illinois. Until that changes, there still can be the Chicago Bears. It doesn't mean anything at this point. So
can you? I was just curious because I have no idea what it means.
Yeah.
What the hell does dome ready mean? We're gonna have a dome?
Yeah.
Dome ready?
Yeah.
Isn't every stadium is dome ready?
Yeah.
You just have to build it?
So here are the proposed plans.
What?
Yeah.
What is Lead the charge, Lori Lightfoot. Yes. You're on a roll.
So here are the plans that have been proposed. So the first one is rebuild both end zones with columns that support dome structure. Yeah, that's the first one. The third one was requiring both end zones to be rebuilt with columns to make stadium dome ready. So I think the first one is putting the dome on top with it, and then basically building the parts to be prepared to put the dome on top. And then the third one was make the stadium to make Soldier Field multi-purpose for soccer games, events, things like that. I don't know how all of these are all three separate proposals when they all should just kind of be like one solid proposal of like, put a dome on top of it, and then let's make it multi-purpose for all these things that could happen. Because if you want to build a city within, if they're talking about trying to do something like SoFi or Allegiant or any of these other new ones, build a city within the stadium kind of thing. If you're talking about doing that, why is this put into three separate proposals? Just make it one thing. That doesn't make any sense to me. Am I wrong to say that? I don't know.
No, it doesn't. Like, for me, just slapping a dome on top of the Bears stadium,
put a hat on it.
It doesn't make sense. You're taking away history. While I do want a dome, but I want a retractable roof. So this team, the Chicago Bears, who play outside always, can still play in the outside weather.
Absolutely.
Where you're able to take away that cold, miserable days and shut the dome.
Yeah.
But on nice days, that thing should be open.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't sound like that's part of the proposal.
No, absolutely not. I mean, and the other parts of it are stadium expands from, right now it's at 61,500 seats. It would expand basically 9,000, just under 9,000 to 70,000.
Which puts them up at the top.
Yeah, it puts them right there with the other teams and stuff. They also want to have 130 suites. It goes to 140, so they add a few more suites, which obviously those pay a lot of money for the big businesses that always rent them out. And then they go, I think it was from 90,000 square feet to 200,000 square feet, which then says, yes, more openings for bathrooms and vending machines, or not vending machines, but vendors with food and drinks and all kinds of stuff. So basically, you could add more stuff, but obviously that's more building. The problem is, though, no, I mean, not in any specific order, mind you, but I think first and foremost is the money that's being proposed here, right? Number one is the cost. Lori Lightfoot has said that it is proposing a $900 million to $2.2 billion in renovations for Soldier Field to put a dome on top of this thing, basically, and make it a multi-purpose, all of that kind of stuff. That's the estimated value because obviously SoFi costs $5 billion, and then you have Allegiant who costs $2 billion, and those are kind of the newer stadiums. Obviously, there's going to be some others that are going to get built here soon that are getting planned out. The Buffalo Bills are planning to build something worth, I think they're looking at like $2-3 billion. But the problem is that it's all being apparently going to be funded by the taxpayer. Or not all of it, but at least like that's the deal. Like taxpayers are going to have to pay some money for this to happen. Why would they do that? Why would the taxpayer even want to be a part of that at all? Why would you allow that to be the case when we know SoFi and Allegiant right now have been built by private money?
That's how it should be.
Yeah, exactly.
The NFL always helps with this too.
Yes.
They like to see this because that's more money for the NFL.
Absolutely.
For all of them. It's billions and billions of dollars going into this business of football.
Yeah, exactly.
They love that. That brings more money in for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And what do these rich pricks like more than anything? Their money.
Yes.
Okay? But yeah, why would this city want to pay more in taxes when they're still paying for the last one?
Right.
The last renovation.
Yeah.
You're going to tack on a bunch more? I don't know.
It doesn't
Seems like a lot unless they do get private money and investors that want come in and take care of the tag, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know the estimated value of the McCarthy family at this point. McCaffrey family. McCaskey. Jesus, I'm all over the place today too. Sorry. The McCaskey family. I'm going to go ahead and guess, though, it's because the Bears are worth $4.6 billion or whatever they are. So I'm going to say that's probably their value. The Ryan family, who's also on the board, I believe is estimated around like $2 billion themselves. They're not exactly chump change on that either. So why wouldn't the McCaskies and the Ryans kind of go in on a stadium, build it in Arlington Heights for the $2.2 billion, and make a state-of-the-art, open-aired stadium that has all the finer tools in life, build the restaurants around it, like they said, build a parking lot so you can tailgate and all kinds of stuff, and then build like your mini city in Arlington Heights where the train's right there and you can exit on the expressway right there, and there's not going to be a backup of traffic on this one road. So many things get solved by doing that. And then, yeah, if the Jaguars, who are the ones being linked to this right now, potentially moving because Shad Khan has business deals in Chicago, if they want to move up to Chicago and take over Soldier Field, let them have it. Because according to Lori Lightfoot, I guess she said that the fans won't follow them to Arlington Heights. Oh, you want to bet?
You want to bet?
You want to bet? They'll follow the Bears wherever they go. They follow them to the stadium right now, and they stink. And they pay hundreds of dollars in tickets, some of them thousands.
And getting to Soldier Field, getting in and out of there, getting parking, getting to the stadium, it's miserable.
Why? I don't even park. Anytime I've gone there, I've taken the train and taxi or Uber, and I walk.
And then there's no bars close to there. It's far. You've got to Uber anywhere you go.
Yep.
There's no red line. The red line stops at Roosevelt there.
Yep.
You can't.
Traffic's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not that close.
No.
You're walking all that way. Build a red line stop, goes to the stadium then.
Yep. It solves so many issues. The fact that she was trying to call their bluff and now the Bears she was trying to say, go ahead and move. And the Bears are pretty much like, yeah, okay, we'll do it. Like the deal isn't set in stone. They still have to finalize the deal. It's not done yet.
Right.
But essentially there is no one else really right now bidding for it. $197 million for what they're going to build on, and then what they get back in return on the revenue is going to be immense. That $2.2 billion will pay itself off, I would say, what, in 2-3 years probably? If they deliver on everything they're talking about, restaurants, all that kind of stuff, all the things that are going to be in there, plus a sports betting area?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That pays.
Sports book.
Yes.
There with the stadium.
I mean, listen, I don't know if I would go to watch the game, but I would say we'd all have to do a hangout there pretty frequently to do some stuff.
To go there more frequently, just to go to the sports book.
Absolutely.
And you can watch the games there.
Yes.
They probably have multiple games on as well. That sounds like an enticing and fun time.
Absolutely. And listen, I looked this up too. City taxpayers are still paying $432 billion plus the interest on the tax for the $690 million over the renovation that happened in 2003, aka the UFO they smacked on top of it to add more of those seatings, you know, where the air gets really cold at times. Which if you get the nosebleeds there, by the way, your nose almost sometimes does bleed because it gets freezing out there when you're out there in January, February, and it's -10.
When their beer is freezing?
Yeah,
Who
and
the hell wants to be out in that?
And the wind chill's coming out at like -20, so now it's like -35 when you're sitting up top there and you're going, I'm having a wonderful time. This is so good.
To watch crap football.
Yeah, on top of
Year
all
in
things.
and year out.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to stay home and watch.
Absolutely. And the other part of this I'm also going to point out too, again, this is not political or anything, but let's be honest, timing is everything on this kind of stuff. And considering that we are in an election year for the mayor of Chicago, more than anything, this is kind of that time where it's like, hey, you don't want to really be remembered as the mayor that lost the Bears, which really you wouldn't be losing the Bears. But by everybody's way of thinking, you've lost the Bears. You let them walk out and you didn't even try to save them. Well, this is like her last ditch attempt to try and save them.
God, I can't stand politicians. I am so tired of politics and hearing about these crooks and these scumbags. I don't care what side you are for. They all suck. They're all crooks.
They're
all out
bad.
for themselves.
Oh, of course. Yeah, they have their own
don't care about
self-interests.
us.
Yeah.
They don't care about us.
And that's the thing is like you talk about the city, right? And we know how the city of Chicago is. There is a lot that's going on with it. When you talk about the crime wave now, I mean, the shootings are going up. You have carjackings that have been on the rise now. Luckily, they've kind of started to crack down a little bit more on it, but they're still happening more than ever. Now you have these street races going on in there, which, by the way, talking about a street race, if you can't get the Bears, why not obviously also bring in NASCAR, right? I don't know if you saw the track for NASCAR. TJ, you saw the track for NASCAR. The major roads that it's going through, tell me, are those roads by any chance, at this point, you would say, race car available at this point in time? Just curious. I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. I can't fathom NASCAR in the city streets of Chicago. From everything I've heard, you have to start paving now for everything to settle, to be prepared for race time. And then on top of that, too, it would cost $1 million plus. And yet their money is apparently going towards what will be renovations to an old stadium from 1971 that you just keep piling stuff on top of for reasons, I don't know. But then you're also saying, like, okay, we can't give you the whole turkey, but here's like a leg. Because like NASCAR is supposed to be like the saving grace of like 3 years of not enough fans in the city of Chicago, I don't think.
No.
Not going around Buckingham Fountain, I don't think is going to be enough. Not only that, but I think this is also NASCAR's cheap attempt to try and challenge F1 for getting the Las Vegas race they've got going on, which looks like it's going to be a lot nicer.
Don't get me wrong. I think it's going to look cool.
Sure.
I think it's going to look very cool. It's
different.
It's different. It's a different idea. I can imagine seeing the overhead view of them racing around in the streets of Chicago, and I'm sure it's going to look pretty cool.
Right.
As far as NASCAR goes, I don't partake.
That's understandable. So, I'm not the biggest fan myself on NASCAR. Yeah. I prefer F1 myself. But even still, like we just said with the Bears situation with their stadium right now, if you have to block all that stuff off, traffic has to be rerouted from Lake Shore and Columbus and all that area that's business that people need to get to. Foot traffic all of a sudden needs to be redirected because there's a race going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot that's going to be taking place then during that, I have to assume, a weekend. And I think we said, what, TJ, a week, right? They'd need like a week to shut everything down and be able to get everything ready, right?
Yeah, it would take about a week to get everything cleared out and get ready for that thing, because you have to then also think about the other materials that you need to actually get out there, redo that thing, get all the haulers in there.
Yeah.
And you're trying to go around any concerts, any food festivals, anything like that. I mean, you're SOL right now with those things. I can't. I mean, I know that my buddy got a ticket for going on Lakeshore Drive with his truck.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine what they're going to do with those haulers. Because, I mean, that's the only way you can get them in is Lakeshore Drive. It's not like you're going to airlift them in.
That's true. It's so true. And I mean, listen, outside, I mean, that's just like a side note, but like, I just wanted to throw that in because it's like, it feels like she's using the NASCAR thing. Now she's using the try and proposal for the Bears to keep them as a chance to try and get voters obviously over to her side to keep her seat as the mayor. And I understand, listen, politicians are going to politics all over things no matter what. But this is not...
Don't care.
Exactly.
Yep.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. They already seem like it's I have a proposal. Just let it go. Just let it go. They're leaving. Let them build their own stadium. If Jacksonville wants to come up here, great. Let them come up here. Let them rebrand because I don't think Chicago Jaguars are going to go over too well. But sure, we've got two teams then in the city of Chicago. LA's got two teams. Why not have Chicago have two teams, right?
New York has two teams.
New York has two teams.
Big market.
And they don't even play in New York. They play in New Jersey.
Right.
So why not? I mean, honestly, I'm going to say this too. Even if you do the renovations in Soldier Field, if they're not good enough to Jacksonville's new Chicago standards, who's to say they don't come over to the Bears and be like, hey, you want to split the bill and like we'll both go in on a state? Because that might become the new thing. Who knows? I mean, the Chargers and the Rams did it and it worked with that private money.
Yep.
Who's to say that the Bears and the Jaguars couldn't say, let's split it half and half and let's like make it, instead of 2.2 billion, let's do 4.4 billion and really make this thing nice. Could be the crown jewel of the Midwest. You never know.
That would be exciting.
That would be exciting. You know what? Shad Khan's got that, something, you know what money. He's got that, you know where to go money kind of things going on for him. So, listen, it's going to be interesting to see how this thing plays out. I think it's intriguing, obviously, that the mayor has made this kind of proposition. I don't think it's going to happen myself personally. Drew, would you say not going to happen?
At this point, I don't. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't really think they're going to stay and these proposals are going to pan out.
I think a lot of people would tend to agree. So we'll see. We'll see. Maybe something can happen. Maybe the mayor can really pull something out here. Well, who knows? But I would venture to guess that the time has come. The time has come, folks. And plus, I'm sorry, the Arlington Heights thing, it just sounds too good. You think about what could happen there, just sounds too good.
The charter franchise deserves better, even though they don't give us better.
Yet.
Right.
Here's hoping. Here's hoping. Because it looks like they might be making some improvements, and we'll be talking about that next here on the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. And welcome everybody here to the X-Bomb Sports Live Show. I'm still Andrew Valentin. I'm still here with the amazing, the wonderful, the stupendous Mr. Drew Gwillem himself. And we just got done talking about how the mayor is taking on the Chicago Bears one last time, trying to see if Chocolates and Roses can actually keep their love around. And unfortunately, I think the Bears have pretty much thrown the roses in her face, stomped on the chocolate, and have walked away from this relationship. But nevertheless, let us know, obviously, in the comments section what you think about it. But now we turn on to more Bears. We want to go on the field, talk about this team. Drew, are you ready to do this, my friend?
Let's do it.
Let's do this, folks. So, if you don't know, the Bears have made some extra additions as they got into training camp. Apparently, they were holding some workouts for some of the offensive linemen before training camp, even before getting into training camp. And it sounds like they made their decisions. Riley Reif and Michael Schofield, 2 veteran offensive linemen, have officially been signed. Riley Reif gets a 1-year, $12.5 million deal. Meanwhile, Schofield will get a $1.12 million deal, both 1 year apiece. Nice little additions from the Bears, I would say, to bring in. This is something I think we were kind of not really sure if we were going to expect, if anybody was going to be signed before training camp. This sometimes does happen. But 2 guys who have some not prominent names, but I'm sure people have heard of them from time to time.
They have some pedigree in the league.
Yes. But what are your thoughts, Drew, with these 2 guys signing on and now becoming a part of the Bears offensive line, it looks like?
It's good to see more offensive line depth when it's one of your biggest problems.
Yeah.
So to add more guys, I guess Riley Reif he's been a good player at times, but then there's been times where he's disappeared and hasn't been that great. I heard he has kind of short arms, so when the defensive lineman gets into his body, it's kind of already too late.
Yes.
So
as we witnessed with Khalil Mack giving him the one-arm bash back in 2018.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that's what we know him for.
So it's nice to have veteran players who have played the position for a while and have lots of starts under their wing.
Mm-hmm.
So professionals, guys that can come in and hopefully show you their best and can be starters or hopefully help work with the young guys. But at the same time, I look at it as maybe some of the guys that they have and all the guys they have aren't showing them as much as they'd like to see to this point.
Yeah.
So bringing in more depth it's always a good thing, but it can also show that what they have they're not liking what they're seeing.
Right.
Which is a bad thing.
Yes.
So we're not really going to really know that until we see opening day, game 1, who's starting and who's not.
Yeah. Yeah, I looked at these 2 guys. I've done a little bit of, as I do really deep dives on these guys. Looking at their numbers, this all comes from 2021, mind you. So in 711 snaps for Riley Reif, he played in 12 games, mind you, for the Cincinnati Bengals, AFC Championship Cincinnati Bengals, mind you. Sorry, but before he went out with an injury, unfortunately. He only allowed 4 sacks. He only had 1 penalty, which is great because one of the problems that has been there with the Bears at times with their tackles has been penalties, of course. And, of course, the sacks as well have been an issue.
Oh,
and
God. Getting killed 9 in 1 game.
Yeah. It's not.
What a game plan.
Yeah.
What a game plan. No changes. Idiot. All right, sorry, go on.
No. I you know what frustration has built for today? It's got to come out in somewhere, and who better than Nagy himself, right?
God, what a clown.
But he's also played 133 games at left tackle, which I think is good. Obviously, the tackle position, left tackle especially, it's important, the blind side of your quarterback, and he seems to have been a solid one. Again, at times. So, and it seems like he's kind of been improving with time. It's just against the better defensive ends, I think he sometimes struggles. Again, Khalil Mack is kind of that
And I think he projects more as a right tackle, and ideally he would fit there better.
Yeah.
And could be a very good player there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they have much option otherwise.
Right, yeah. They're
to put him at left.
Yes, unless Braxton Jones, who's been playing a lot of the first team reps at left tackle, really is that guy, which they seem to be pretty confident with. Or, Larry Borum or Tevin Jenkins kind of show something, but they've been kind of battling out at right tackle. So we'll see. But then the other one is Schofield, 907 snaps. He only allowed 2 sacks and had 3 penalties all year. And he's mostly been a guard. Last year he played tackle. So keep that in mind. He played tackle for the Chargers a little bit. So this is a multi-talented player.
Oh, Curry went to college.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he did.
Go blue.
He did go to Michigan.
That's very, very kind of you to find the Michigan picture instead of his NFL team.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's for me.
Yes.
That's for me.
That is courtesy of TJ Nacker, ladies and gentlemen.
He's trying to make up for. You both need to make up for pissing me off with the worst losses.
Hey, those photos are still up there. I could still post them up there if you want. which I know how that ends. It ends with you being the only host and I. Yeah, exactly. I know how that goes. Trust me, I know how that goes.
Bad idea. Not today.
Not today. Not today. Not the today joke. But again, I like this. I think this is good. 2 veteran offensive linemen to add to the. I don't know if they're going to be starters, but listen, if you're saying they do start, right? Cody Whitehair sounds like he's going to play left guard potentially. I don't think that's set in stone yet, but sure, he can do that. He's the only guy on that line right now that has like a ton of snaps for this team right now. Like I think he has over 90 snaps or whatever for this team at this point, or 90 games under his belt. So if you're saying that the lineup's going to be right now, Riley, let's say from left tackle to right tackle, Riley Reef, Cody Whitehair, Lucas Patrick, Michael Schofield, and then be it Larry Borum or Tevin Jenkins, it's not the best offensive line, yes, but I think it's a nice patch job compared to what was happening last year, where 40-year-old Jason Peters was trying to play left tackle, and clearly struggled and time had passed and all that stuff. So, and I think for Tevin Jenkins, this is a good chance too, where, listen, if tackle doesn't work, you could be that swing tackle that kind of moves in between where you need him, maybe even kick him in as a guard. Maybe he can beat out Cody Whitehair. I have my own issues with Whitehair sometimes dipping on passes and pass rush and stuff, but that's just me.
I'll get to him, Tevin Jenkins, more in a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. We'll get to that soon.
He needs. I truly believe that this year is a show them something, or he might not be here.
Yeah,
he might not
absolutely.
he might not make this team if he doesn't start showing them something.
I mean, this regime did not draft him, and who knows if Ryan Poles would have drafted him.
If the Bears didn't trade up in that draft, he could have potentially been the Bears' first pick in that draft.
Very well.
And that was one of the projections, and they got him in the second round.
Yes,
at their second pick. Okay. We were excited about this.
Absolutely.
It is time. Step up. Put your big boy pants on. Let's see some of that nasty. But now's your time. You're not going to get a lot of time anymore. I don't think these players picked by other regimes are going to get a lot of time with new coaching staffs.
Yeah.
And new GMs anymore. I think that's just
it's make or break, because we'll find somebody else and
you weren't our pick. We're not tied to you.
Right, exactly. Okay? Braxton Jones, meanwhile, they picked him. They obviously seem to like him. That's why he's getting the play. So, but alongside of that, obviously some guys have finally made it into the building, but they're not obviously playing yet. From what if you haven't heard yet, the Bears have placed Roquan Smith, linebacker for the team, the star linebacker on the team. He is officially on the PUP list, which means he's unable to perform, and he's not able to practice, all that kind of good stuff. But he is in camp, so they're calling this now officially not a holding out, it's a holding in, which kind of seems to be like the new thing, because apparently Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, a lot of these guys are now doing this thing where it's like, all right, I'll come to camp, but I'm not practicing until we get a deal done, which is what seems to be the case here. Roquan wants a new deal. He's projected to get almost $10 million for this year from his contract. 9.7 is the exact figure. From what I've understood, the top 10 values of the linebackers average per year, when you put it all together, it's about $15 million a year across the board per year. The projected value for his contract right now, after Eberflus has named him the will linebacker, so they've officially made him the weak side linebacker, it sounds like, which is, for those who don't know, that's where Lance Brigg used to play next to good old Brian Urlacher. If that is the case, then he will be estimated at a 5-year, $92.5 million contract, which is a lot of change, because the next best will linebacker on the list would be now Shaq Leonard, originally Darius Leonard, now known as Shaq Leonard, who's making $98 million on a 5-year deal. So, Drew, what do you think? Obviously, Roquan Smith, I mean, it's a lot of money, but we know how good he is. Do you pay this man? How do you pay this man? Do you think the value matches it? Do you maybe give him less? Do you wait for the season to end? What are your thoughts for Roquan?
I think you got to give him the money. I think he's proven that he is top 1-2 player on this team.
I would say he's a top player on this team.
I don't, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
That's where my list goes.
Interesting.
I would put him at 2.
Okay.
I'm perfectly fine with the arguments for him being 1.
Yeah.
But I'll explain why more in a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you pay him. I think he's proven to be a top-tier player.
Okay.
He's very, very good player at the linebacker position.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems with him is he doesn't sack the quarterback enough. But when he has rushed the passer, he's gotten home.
Absolutely.
He has a big number of sacks for the time he's rushed and been and gotten there. But his tackles for loss, where he can roam all over the field, like we used to see back in the day from Urlacher and Briggs.
Yes.
This guy's got it. He's one of the pieces that I don't think you can let leave unless you're potentially maybe going to trade him for a disgruntled wide receiver in Seattle named DK Metcalf.
Very well said. Yes.
I wouldn't mind that at all.
Yeah.
Both having contract problems. I heard somebody throw that out there, and I know we talked about it a while back too.
Yeah, yes.
Like, what do you think about this? So I would be okay with that if that's the way they went.
Right.
But as of now, that's not even in talks from what anything I've heard. So I think you've got to pay him. If it's not, you don't. I'm not saying only 92.5, but the way this guy plays,
bang for buck.
I think if 92.5 million gets it done, get him signed.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. For what he's done in his career, you're talking about a guy that I think they said since Ray Lewis hasn't put up the numbers he has in this kind of fashion, being also too considerably undersized as well. He's only 6'1", 230 pounds. Most middle linebackers now, they're sitting anywhere between 245, 250 to 260 sometimes. Like, I mean, these guys, or sometimes
and
they're
he's still
even,
a beast.
Yeah, exactly. And he roams the field. I think he's shown us too he can improve in coverage. He can play multiple positions, be it the will or the middle or whatever you need him to do. This is a guy that is multi-talented, multifaceted in his ability to kind of move around the field. And he's not had, from what I remember, he hasn't had like major injury yet. If I remember correctly, he's only had small stuff here and there.
Yeah.
He's been a warrior kind of through and through on his ability to play thus far. In his career, he has 525 tackles. He has 14 sacks, right? He has 5 interceptions. Okay, I mean, he's also had 1 defensive touchdown he had last year, so he's also added to that on top of it. I mean, in 17 pass deflections, this guy has been all over the field and has been doing everything to kind of keep this defense kind of afloat. And I think that's important to note, and I think that adds a lot of value to what you're looking at for a guy like Roquan Smith, be it if it's an outside or inside linebacker. This guy knows how to play the position. This guy knows how to be one of those top key players. So I agree. I think you have, he's 25 years old.
Yeah.
How are you going to let a 25-year-old walk when he's playing so well? I think you have to pay him.
Don't be the Blackhawks, please.
Yes, please don't do this. Don't do this. We see how that's going.
I think they'll get a deal done. I think it's just might be a little more of a difficult situation with him representing himself. He doesn't have an agent, so he's dealing with GM back and forth trying to get a deal worked out.
That's true. And I mean, listen, now with guaranteed money kind of being thrown around quite a bit, that's obviously something that you also have to negotiate out as well. Plus language of a contract. We know now these contracts have a lot with injury clauses for guaranteed money and all this other. I mean, there's so many different parts to it.
And having to study 4 hours a week.
And obviously, yes. And we talked about that yesterday. We may talk about it tomorrow again. We will see. But yes, it's
just to touch on the way contracts have been changing and things are evolving, I guess.
Yeah. But that's a good way.
Whether good or bad, they're evolving in a way of
they're changing. Yes,
big time change.
Yes, but I mean, that's the thing too. Like, obviously, in the very beginning, contracts were very onerous. Then, obviously, there was a shift where now they're very much geared towards helping the player a lot, and obviously, we want that. Now they're trying to find that like happy medium between the two, where it's like, look, we want you to make your money, but we also want to make sure that we have insurances and guarantees in case you get hurt or you have, let's say an incident where you don't want to play because your foot hurts, and then all of a sudden you're throwing your pads off and dancing in the middle of the end zone and walking into the...
We're not going to get screwed because you're a diva.
Yeah, exactly. Right, AB? All right. But outside of Roquan Smith, another player also...
Shots fired.
Yeah, exactly. Another player was also in camp, but we're not sure if he I don't think he participated just yet. I think he's
I don't think
still.
so
I think
either.
he's still just sitting out. It's Robert Quinn, of course, the defensive end who set the record for the Bears last year, 18.5 sacks, which is obviously incredible. And he's obviously a very talented player. After what we've finally seen, he came in shape. He played like he was in shape. He looked like his old self from when he was like 23, and now being, I believe, 33, 34 years old. Obviously, there's a lot left on his contract. There's a lot of talks about the trade rumors. He said he's not bothered by it in the most recent media talk from today. He says he's okay with it. He understands it's the business and things like that. But clearly not practicing means that there might be something more going on. There might be discussions happening on potentially moving him. So, Drew, from your take, I mean, what do you think about the situation with Robert Quinn? Do you think the Bears are going to move on from him? They've been pretty adamant of saying they're not going to trade him. Do you believe that? What are your thoughts for Robert Quinn?
At this point, I really don't know because Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus they don't give you much.
No.
They speak, but it's all coach speak and GM speak, and they really have not given you much.
Right.
Very generic answers on Roquan, on Robert Quinn. You don't know what they're cooking up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to tell where it's going to lie. If him not practicing isn't a good thing.
No.
To me, well, so my list for Bears coming up is more geared towards the most important players this year and going forward.
Okay.
So me saying this, that I think Robert Quinn is the best player on this team,
Okay.
doesn't reveal anything for my list.
Okay.
Much, but I think Robert Quinn is while being the best player, I also do think he's the most important player on this team.
Yeah.
For the fact that one of the main things a football team needs is a pass rusher.
Yeah.
Quarterback, pass rusher. Since we're not talking about Fields because we know he's the most important, Robert Quinn to me, well, obviously is the best player on this team.
Right.
He rushes the passer. He had 18.5 sacks last year. And that's one of the most important things an NFL franchise needs. And they have it in him.
Yeah.
And that's with most of the year not having Khalil Mack. And not having much on the other side. Yes, he played 6 or 7 games with him.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
But that's not a full season.
Right.
How many games did he do this and still rush the quarterback at a top tier level?
Yeah.
So to me, he's the most important player on this team. I think he'll get in there and start practicing as long as they're not planning on trading him. It doesn't sound like he's going to be traded.
Yeah.
To me, the smart move would be start the season with him because you need a pass rusher and they don't have much else.
Right.
See what he's doing. His value is at the top. Top it's going to be right now.
Yeah.
So to get as much as you can for him now would be great. But if they're not going to do that, start the season out with him. Hopefully he stays right on track with what he did last year.
Yeah.
And come trade deadline time, maybe they flip him to a team that needs a pass rusher and they can get a high enough pick for him.
It's difficult for me with Robert Quinn because obviously I'm looking at this and I'm thinking kind of later down the line. He's 32. The value is never going to get as good as it probably is right now.
Right.
Right now, you know he's healthy. You know he's there. You know he's got 3 years left on his deal. All that stuff.
Part of his importance
Yes.
for me to this team as well because of his trade value and what he can bring back.
Absolutely. And this is where I'm looking at that from that because it also takes then money off the books because if you trade him, it also clears, I think they said almost $13 million in cap space then. Which obviously, listen, for the Bears, I'm not trying to bash on them. I know people are blah, 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 whatever. You're not winning a title. This is clearly the evaluation year. Yes, keeping Robert Quinn. Excuse me.
Goes in tight.
Sorry, talking about the Bears gets my allergies going sometimes. I'm allergic to bad teams.
The cap doesn't matter this year anyways.
Yeah.
They are screwed in the cap. They're not trying to do any of those
Next year's where
things with the
everything
cap.
is at.
So, yeah, if you still keep them this year and trade them at the end
Yeah.
or trade them after the season, it's fine.
Absolutely.
It's not going to make a difference.
I'm looking at this saying, okay, the tough thing is that right now I would say his highest value is at a second round pick. And I think there's somebody that would be willing to give that up or give something up in that sort of value range. And today I was on Blow the Whistle. We're talking on the radio. If this team is sitting at a potential winning record, you may not want to move Robert Quinn. But
you guys talked about that? Are you out of your damn minds? If the Bears possibly have a winning record?
David brought it up. If by the deadline they
Were you all high?
David brought it up. We played devil's advocate on this one.
Oh, now it's devil's advocate. Okay, yeah. Way to backpedal, guys.
It was David that brought this up. Don't attack me. Okay?
Oh my!
But he said,
continue with your fairy tale.
If they were sitting there and they were looking at this and they said, "Well, we need some help," would you potentially look to trade Robert Quinn to help get some pieces? And I said I would make the move, push Robert Quinn with like a first round pick and maybe possibly another second round pick because I think he could value out as a third or another second round pick to Seattle, get DK Metcalf in there. I know they probably ask for more, but if you can make that push, if they're willing to take it, because let's be honest, if there's anything that Mr. Seattle himself, the head coach out there, Pete Carroll, loves, he loves himself some defense. He loves himself some edge rushers.
Here's your devil's advocate. What the hell would the Seattle Seahawks want with a 32, 33-year-old pass rusher?
I don't know.
When
it's
he's
what
not
Pete
going
Carroll seems to like.
And you're going to give up a young player like DK Metcalf for a guy who's not even going to be around.
Yeah.
When they're trying to win again.
No, and I understand that completely, but I think it's getting the first round pick back for him at the same time. You get an edge rusher that might still have something left in the tank. You get to build yourself either another quarterback, receiver, and the Bears get themselves an elite number one wide receiver. But I don't think that would actually happen because no matter what, I don't think they're going to have a win. They're not going to have a winning record number one in the first 6-7 games of the week. By week 8, I doubt that DK Metcalf would even be like on the trade block at that point for that kind of a value. I think they're going to try to lock him up on a longer deal. I think the Bears should still, though, keep that in mind on potentially trade because they're the ones that can make the giant offer to him of $100 million for 4 years or whatever he's looking for. Because they have obviously the cap space next year to kind of let that money just like, yeah, that's easy. Let it just float on the books. Who cares? It's easy money. But I honestly think I agree with you. Robert Quinn's important. I just don't know. The problem is that at 32, where his value is at, I would say look to see what you can get now. If you don't like what you're seeing now, then I would say move. I think you can get a second and like a third or even a fourth out of him. I don't know who would give that up. I feel it would have to be a contending team. I don't know who that would be at this point. I've heard a lot that he might go back to the Rams and just finish it out there. Which, yeah, sure, like they need that, of course.
The Rams don't have any. Do they even have any?
They didn't even have any space.
First,
I don't think.
Second, third round picks ever.
I think they have seconds.
Okay.
I think they have seconds. They definitely don't have first. We know that. But I think because they're looking for an edge rusher, I know too, to help on the defensive line. They really need it. But
you got Donald, you're fine.
You got Donald, you got Floyd, and whoever you got Wagner sitting in the middle. Great.
Bobby Wagner.
But I think they could be a team potentially that could give you something at least, a second round pick potentially, and say, here's an edge rusher. You want to try and win the Super Bowl again? Great. It gives the Bears another option to either say, hey, we can trade up, get more draft picks if we want, get another first, or you get multiple picks in the second round that you can use to kind of burn and get whatever players you feel like you need. Because this is a valuation year. And I think at this point, you know what you're getting out of Robert Quinn, get what you can out of him value-wise, and move on from there. That's how I'm projecting this. So, but we'll see. It's going to be an interesting take for the Bears to move. Obviously, Robert Quinn, Roquan Smith getting his deal. Robert Quinn, will he be traded? There's a lot of players that could potentially be on the move. I've heard that there could be a possibility that we see some offensive linemen maybe get moved potentially. There's a lot of opportunities now for the Bears to kind of start playing around in training camp and seeing who might be available, who might be good, this and that and the other. So we'll find out. It's tantalizing to say the least that they've got these options kind of sitting in front of them now to be able to kind of play with. But last but not least, folks, we wanted to do this. This was something that my man Drew Gwillem kind of brought up. So he talked about ranking out the players. I'm calling this ranks in the rosters. Basically, what we do is we go inside the Bears training camp. We looked at the roster and we came out with the top 10 Bears that we have on our list going into training camp. Now, this can be however we want to see it. Real quick, let's just allude to the fact that no one is going to surpass Justin Fields as probably the top player in training camp that's going to have all the eyes on, right? We understand that the quarterback position, by far, all the way through, it is the key, far most important position in the NFL right now. I think would it not be fair to say, Drew, it goes without saying that he is clear and above at the top of the list, like above everybody else head and shoulders.
Justin Fields is the most important player to this team this year and going forward.
Yes.
Because if he shows you nothing this year, then there's a very good chance that this team is going to pick number 1 overall, and they're taking another quarterback.
It's very. I mean, listen. Right now, the top 3 picks at this point have been named are Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, and Will Anderson Jr. Who, I am not a Bama fan, but this kid, and I'm saying this in as manly a way as I can, he's sexy as a football player. He makes pass rushing look very cool and very easy. You want to talk about a Khalil Mack-esque Lawrence Taylor possibly type edge rusher?
If this team has a first-round pick that early, I know he may be amazing and takes another defensive player.
I know. I'm
see if
kind of why I'm hoping to see Justin Fields.
I think the hope is that Justin Fields takes the next step,
yes,
shows you what you need to see,
yeah,
plays well enough that you know he's the guy,
mm-hmm,
and you can trade out. And not only does he show you he's the guy, but you're still bad enough to get a 1, 2, 3 pick.
Right.
And there is very much a route that happens. That Justin Fields shows you what he needs to show you, gets better,
mm-hmm,
and this team is still really bad.
Yeah.
And you still have an early pick, and you can trade back. Look how much teams are getting to trade 1, 2, 3 spots ahead,
right,
4 spots ahead.
Yeah.
And think about how much, excluding Minnesota or Detroit fleecing Minnesota last year for moving up all those spots for not even a first-round pick, but 1, 2, 3 first-round picks are sometimes being given up to move up that
That's
couple
true.
picks,
Yeah.
a handful of picks.
Yeah.
Or if you're moving up a bunch, you might definitely get 2, 3 first-round picks from somebody.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, listen.
To get the quarterback,
yeah,
teams will do that.
Well, and to be fair, in this draft too, there's a lot of quarterbacks coming out in this year's draft. Like C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, yes, they are the top of the list. But you've got the kid from Miami, you've got the kid from Kentucky, you got the kid from NC State, you've got the kid from Tennessee, you got these kids coming from everywhere this year, where maybe not even in the first round, but in the second and possibly the third round, this could be the draft where you find your franchise quarterback. It's that kind of a draft. There's that kind of depth here.
To me, it's very exciting to hopefully see, and the idea of Justin Fields panning out.
Yes.
This team still being poor because there's not a lot around him.
Yes.
Maybe there's a lot. Justin Fields is throwing balls right on the money.
Mm-hmm.
Players are dropping them. Mooney may have 1,300 yards.
Right.
And they're still losing a bunch because there's not much else around them.
Yeah.
You see something, flashes from some of the young guys, but they're not all there yet. And this team trades let's say they get the second overall pick.
Yeah.
Trades to, say, 10.
Yeah.
Get 2 first round picks.
Yeah. Yeah.
With third and maybe more.
Right.
And the Bears go and grab a star, top of the line wide receiver for Justin Fields, who just showed you something. And now you have that young player going forward. You pair with him, Mooney, and hopefully some other guys that are going to show us something and show that they belong.
I mean, hey, folks, if you want a wide receiver, there's a couple at Ohio State he played with. Jackson Smith and Jibba is supposed to be the top receiver in next year's draft. Let's not forget, too, a certain Hall of Fame wide receiver's kid is also playing at Ohio State, who's 6'4", 210 pounds, and, has the same name as his dad, Mr. Marvin Harrison Jr. Wouldn't mind that. So,
if he plays anything like his pops.
Oh, God, please do.
That's scary.
He's not Peyton Manning, but Justin Fields looks like he's pretty good. Pretty good. All right, but let's get to our list. So, Drew, run down your list. These are the top 10 Bears going into training camp for this year. Give me your top 10.
Like I said, my top 10 are most important Bears for me this year and going forward. Okay. And I'll give a little slight quick explanation on why I put him where I put him. So number 10, I have David Montgomery. Okay. You're running back. You know what you're getting from him. He's a solid player, but he needs to stay a solid player and stay healthy to help Justin Fields.
Yeah.
We need to have a good running game. By we, I shouldn't say, I hate that. I don't mean to say we. The Bears need to have a good running game to help Justin Fields progress.
Yes.
Okay. At number 9, I have N'Keal Harry. Okay. This guy was a first-round pick for a reason. Okay. You watch his college tape. He's big. He's strong. He's fast. He can go get the ball.
Yeah.
He just has not shown you that in the pros yet.
Right.
But besides the fact, to give up a 7th-round pick for a guy that was once a first-round pick not too long ago, to give a second shot, new scenario here, new situation, more targets to go around.
Yeah.
Again, this is one of the guys, you have a show me year right here, or you may be done in the NFL very soon.
Yeah.
At number 8, I have Velus Jones Jr., okay? You have a bunch of wide receivers that the Bears passed on in the draft, and they were led to Velus Jones Jr. He's a little bit older of a guy, older than Mooney, I believe. But
yeah, he is by like a full year. Yeah. So
whatever. I don't care how old you are, how young you are. You're coming in here for a first-year pro at 25. Don't care. Yeah. You need to show us something. The Bears passed on a lot of wide receivers, like I said, to come to this guy. He needs to be a guy that can be part of this team going forward. At number 7, I have Kyler Gordon. Okay. Again, this was their first pick of the draft. Yeah. And a 2nd-round pick. Your first pick in the draft has to add up to something. Yeah. Has to. I don't care where it is. 3rd round, 4th round. If you're only picking limited picks early on, has to pan out. Right. And one of the cornerstone positions of any football team is your corner. Absolutely. If you cannot guard, you're in trouble. Yeah. That's why at number 6, I have a guy at the other side, Jalen Johnson, who was another high pick, 2nd-round pick for the Bears. Yeah. Showed us something early on and then has faded. Yeah. And showed us absolutely. I believe he has 1 interception since he's been to the Bears. I believe so. I will confirm that real quick for you. Not good from a guy that plays a position that needs to get interceptions and lock down guys. Yes, start the season, he locked some guys down, and he was playing very well, and he's disappeared. But now with this new regime, he's taking snaps with the second at time. Yes. Get back to your lockdown ways. Hopefully the two of them in tandem on both sides can show us something nice and can be good players together. And you're correct. He does have 1 interception so far. 9 pass deflections, 1 interception from this past season. Not good enough. No. Not good enough from the cornerback position. Again, another guy. Show me. Right. You got to see it from you, or you may not be around. Yeah. Number 6, I have Jalen Johnson. Did I do that right? Did you do Jalen Johnson twice? Did I do Jalen Johnson twice? I did. I think you just did Jalen Johnson, so you should be at 5, right? Oh, I'm on 5. Yes. You're in your top 5. Okay. It's been a long day. It's been a long day, folks. It's been a long day. Number 5, Roquan Brisker. Again, a guy who was picked ahead of a position of what I viewed as much more need. Yeah. They passed on wide receivers for Roquan Brisker. While this guy may pan out to be a stud, a Mike Brown type leader in the backfield for the Bears defense, he better be. Yeah. For needing weapons in the worst way on offense, they passed on them. Roquan Brisker has to pan out and show us something this year. Yeah. And how important is that for the future of this defense with all these young players? Yeah. Number 4, I have Roquan Smith. Okay. Not best players on the team. Right. Importance to this year. Yes. Again, he's a very important player because I do see him as the 2nd best player on this team. Okay. Okay. You know what you're getting with Roquan. Now that they're moving him more to the outside, again, he's going to have to probably rush the passer a little more. Yeah. Again, I've seen what he can do when he does that. It's good stuff. I like seeing that. Yeah. He's got to get a contract done. or if he's not going to be a guy if he's going to hold out and not play, do the Bears look at him as a guy they trade? Again, are you going to try and get a guy like DK Metcalf for Roquan Smith?
Right.
And see what kind of package you can put together there. But either way, because of his talent level and his importance to the Bears, whether it's on the field or being traded, big time important player right there.
Absolutely.
Number 3, Cole Kmet. Okay. You picked Cole Kmet, second round of the draft. Again, high pick for a skill position player at a position of high importance for this team.
Yeah.
A big tight end. Big safety net for your young quarterback is the tight end position. We have not had it. He's shown some flashes, never quite totally been there. Hopefully it was poor situational offense by the old regime, poor placement by the old regime that caused him to not give us what we were hoping to see from this player. So to me, he needs to take that step, or he's not going to be here either.
Absolutely.
A lot of make or break guys on this team, and that's scary.
Yeah.
But step it up. We need, again, why do I keep saying the Bears need a tight end to play his butt off.
Absolutely.
And be a stud out there. Number 2, Tevin Jenkins. Okay. Tevin Jenkins, like we talked earlier, potentially without the Bears trading up, could have been their number 1 pick that year.
Yeah.
Their first overall pick, Tevin Jenkins, an offensive lineman, which they desperately needed. He has that nasty to him. Dealt with injuries last year. Didn't play a ton. Now seems like the coaching status has been wishy-washy on him.
Yeah.
I don't think they're sold on him. Guess what? Time to step up, make or break, because even though this is only your second year, they didn't pick you.
Yeah.
This regime did not pick you.
No, they didn't.
Again, along with Justin Fields, show me.
Yeah.
They're one and the same. They got them both in the same draft, one pick after the other, not picked by this regime. Time to step up and be that left tackle or right tackle of the future that can be here for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Be nasty.
Absolutely.
We want to see it. So number 1 overall, most important player, already talked, Robert Quinn. You rushed the passer. You had 18.5 sacks last year. That's a game changer.
Yes.
That affects games.
Yes.
That is, you have to game plan for this man every single week. And he's going to see a lot of double teams. Guess what? He still broke the franchise record.
He did.
So whether it's on the field, rushing the passer, getting sacks, one of the most important positions in the NFL, pass rusher, he's got it. So whether it's him doing that on the field or him being a guy that they trade because his value is very high and they get a bunch more than what they probably should back for him.
Yeah.
That value's through the roof to me.
Okay.
So that's my list, and that's where I'm going for most important Bears this year and going forward to hopefully make this team a winning franchise again.
I like it. I mean, I like that. I like the list that you put together. Obviously, those are the guys that, you're kind of looking at saying, be it now going into the future, those are absolutely the guys you want to kind of call on, and it's do or die for some of these guys especially. We actually have some similarities on our list. I will say this real quick. Robert Quinn, not on my list, and Jalen Johnson, not on my list, primarily due to the fact that I think they are the players that I think they are at this point, or Robert Quinn is at least. I think Jalen Johnson absolutely needs to improve. Don't get me wrong.
And he can.
And he certainly can.
He's shown that top level.
Yes, absolutely. I think, though, that he still has that top-tier ability to play, and I think now having a guy that can be across from you that can shut the other guy down, which I'll get into him here in a little bit. He's on my list, so don't worry. But I think that's going to help him out a lot to be back to where he was. Kind of like how when Tim Jennings had that great year of 7 interceptions or whatever it was, like 8 interceptions. Obviously, Peanut Tillman was able to shut him down. That's why Tim Jennings was able to be the guy he was. So, all right, my list, number 1 I have is Tevin Gibson. I think Tevin Gibson right now, because of the fact that there is a kind of hole at the defensive end spot right now, I think it's what's his name, Muhammad right now.
Are you going 10-1 or 1-10?
10-1.
Okay.
So number 10 for me is Tevin Gibson. I think he needs to show up. I think he's the guy that could take over for Khalil Mack. He's got those tendencies, that ability to be able to get to the quarterback, to rush him. I know he's kind of like the edge rusher, right? He's kind of a combo guy, mostly like a stand-up linebacker. I don't know if he's very comfortable in the 3-point stance, but if this guy can get it down, I think he can be one of the elite pass rushers in the league, or at least, if anything, he can give you like that 8.5, 9 sacks coming off the other edge, right? So if you need somebody to complement Robert Quinn, I think this is your guy. His first step is explosive. I love his stuff. Number 9 for me is actually also N'Keal Harry. You did trade that pick. You got to get that guy in there. He's too big and too talented, I believe, to keep on the bench. If he is on the bench, he's a nice security. I think if anything right now, let's not say he's a starting wideout at the number 2. Let's put him in the slot. Let's work him at the slot, and he's a big wide receiver. Let's see if he can catch some passes over the middle. I know he has a problem with drops. I get that. But clearly he's having issues at being on the outside as a wideout. Let's see if we can work him more as a slot. Let's get him in there. Teach him about ball security, for the love of God. That's all you have to do. He's got a bad catch percentage, I know, but that can be improved. I promise it can be improved.
To get him for basically a bag of chips.
Yeah, seventh round pick means nothing.
I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
And I'm sure Belichick will turn that into the next Hall of Fame,
Most
whatever.
likely.
So, but I like it. I like it. Low risk, high reward type of situation.
Very much so.
Number 8 on my list, I'm putting Cole Kmet. And this is just a personal thing for me because at this point, I'm not saying I'm giving up on him, but it's kind of like you haven't been the red zone target that I was hoping to see from my eye and my perspective. Now, yes, quarterbacks have been constantly changing. Of course, I understand that's an issue.
He got Nagy.
And he had Nagy.
I think most of him he got Nagy.
Exactly. So I'm hoping Luke Getsy, who's worked well with Robert Tonyan and the other tight ends that have been there, Jay Sternberger and all those guys, I think there's something there that you can absolutely work with. It's just kind of do or die, I think, for him at this point. So I'm kind of putting on the lower lifts because I think Ryan Griffin and James O'Shaughnessy are 2 guys that have shown the ability to be competent, decent, and they're cheaper at this point. I mean, I don't know. I would say, honestly, if you get a value for Cole Kmet that somebody wants him, I'm not saying maybe do it, but I'm saying play it out. Let's see what happens. And at the end of the year, if you don't want to sign him back, you don't have to. So, but I think at this point, my love for him has just kind of petered out. Sorry, Tom, your Notre Dame tight end didn't work.
I wouldn't even say it's like love for him. It's hey, you were a high pick, right, bro, and you're
supposed to be a first round draft pick as a tight end. We got you in the 2nd round. We're supposed to get first round talent.
You're supposed to be the best tight end in that class.
6'6", 260, and you can't catch a ball in the red zone.
Well,
I get it.
It's Nagy.
Yeah, I know.
It's Nagy.
I know.
You ready? You ready to see it this year? He's gonna be up there.
I'm gonna watch.
He's gonna get it.
I'm gonna watch because we have to talk about it.
Be put in the right position.
Absolutely. Put him in the slot with N'Keal Harry. Let's see those big bodies over there. I wouldn't mind that. Listen, if Greg Olsen can do it, so can you. Although Greg Olsen was an athletic freak of nature, for crying out loud. That man was crazy good. All right, number 7 on my list, I got Thomas Graham Jr. because I think he's a guy that, yes. Well, when we talk about the corners, it'll be Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon. Sneakily enough, let's not forget in the 3-4 defense, you do need occasionally that nickel corner to come step in. And I think he's a guy that last year started to prove that he can take on some of those wide receivers, some of those better guys too. And he's not very big, I get that. He's 5'11", 190, but he's fast enough to keep up with them. He's got a good leap. He's got great reach. I think he can be a guy that should be targeted in the Matt Eberflus defense. Not only that, too, but because of his speed, we've seen him come off the edge as well. So I think he can be that nickel corner that you can potentially blitz that can change games. We've seen that guy change games before. The corner that comes out of nowhere, flies to the quarterback, fumbles the football, picks it up, and takes it to the end zone. That can change games. Number 6 on my list is Lucas Patrick. I know this guy is solid. It's my question of be the leader for the offensive line, right? Because now you got Riley Reif and Schofield in there. That's great. But now everybody else needs a little bit more coaxing. I need him to wear the C on his chest. I don't need him to be, that next great center that lines up in there. I don't need Olin Kreutz. I need Lucas Patrick. But I need him to command like Olin Kreutz did. Like, shut up. I'm talking. This is quarterback time. Justin, go. Okay, get in your stance. Let's go.
Be an animal out there.
Absolutely. Be in charge.
That's what we want from our offensive line. Nasty animals.
Absolutely.
Just rip
be
people's
aggressive.
Heads off. Be so aggressive.
Be aggressive.
Look what we talked when we talked about offensive linemen. We both talked about Quentin Nelson like like he's a freaking god of offensive linemen.
Dude, he
He's
changes
nasty.
games.
He's an animal out there.
Changes games.
He screams when he hits people.
Him and I mean,
love it.
We were talking again. We were talking on Blow the Whistle. I'm like, boy, you know, for those Colts, man, it must be nice to be Jonathan Taylor when you look at Ryan Kelly and Quentin Nelson and the sea just parts and you're like, it's as easy as walking in the park. It's just like
He can river dance through the hole.
he really could. Unbelievable. So number 5 on my list is Kyler Gordon. He has to be the number 2 corner. I think he's pegged as that right now. He certainly needs to be the guy that I think, and he's shown he has the ability to shut down those guys. I mean, he was staying with Velus Jones Jr. for a while there, so he's got the speed. I need to see more of that coverage still going into games because that's going to, like you said, that's going to help out Jalen Johnson a lot going forward.
And not having Kentel Vildor on the other side to totally... I don't even know what you called that.
I don't understand why he's still on the team. I don't get it.
And then when Jalen Johnson was getting second team reps, guess who was first? Kendall Vildor.
Is he like the smartest man in the defense or something? Does he know? Does he have something on the owner? How? We've seen, okay, you know what? This is Kyler Gordon time.
Yep.
Kyler Gordon is a really good, big, strong corner. I like his stuff. I like the fact that these are 2 guys. Again, size doesn't always really matter, but having 2 guys that are 6 feet tall apiece at the corner spot, considering receivers are getting bigger, faster, stronger, this helps out a lot. And this guy, not only too, he's not a softie either. This guy fights, and I like that. Don't fight with the receiver. Don't get suckered in like what's his face. What was the wide receiver's name? Javon Wims. Don't get suckered in like that. Don't do that.
He's a bum.
But do absolutely be the aggressor because guess what? Then that gets the receivers pissed off. They start to fight you. They get the penalties, and then it looks good for the defense. Do your job.
Better pan out.
Absolutely.
Better pan out. Pass on a wide receiver.
Yeah, it's
for him too.
Trust me, that hurt my gullet.
Okay.
And then number 4 on my list, I got Roquan Smith. I have him not number 1. I do have him at 4, mainly due to the fact that
Same spot.
Exactly, yeah. So it's mainly due to the fact that he is who he is. We can see that the talent's there. Again, it's the same thing as Lucas Patrick, though. I need him. He's got to be the captain. He's got to, you got to wear that C on your chest like you're like Superman at this point. Like, it can't just be here. It's got to be all over the uniform at this point.
Justin Fields has to be the captain.
Yes, he should be the captain
The captain of the entire team.
He should be the commander, the general, but I would say Roquan should be like your first in command.
Oh, they're holding hands at the captain's meeting.
Absolutely.
Okay? They're hand in hand. Don't get me wrong, but
be the captain of, let's say this, be the captain of the defense. Be the commander of that unit. And you take charge.
And then Fields' right-hand man when it comes to the team.
Absolutely.
When he speaks,
you speak.
Back him, he backs you.
Yes, because this team last year we saw had no leadership.
Nope.
So Justin now needs to take the helm, and Roquan needs to take the helm right there with him. They have to be brothers in arms on this. And Lucas Patrick, I think, should be that guy as well. There should be other guys that are veterans stepping up into this line. Robert Quinn should be one of those guys as well. Those guys need to be there. Roquan needs to prove to everybody, shut up when I'm talking. I'm calling the defense. Defense has been called. Get to your positions. Do your job. That's what I want to see from Roquan.
Yep.
Absolutely.
These players have been with the team for a while.
Yes, absolutely.
And are trying to, I'm tired of the suck.
Yes. I mean, by the way, too, if we don't get a deal done, if the Bears don't get a deal done, I did it too. I'm not a we anymore. I'm not even, whatever.
Man, today sucks.
I know, it's a bad day. But
this is fun, though.
If you don't get anything done with Roquan Smith soon, and this year goes bad, he could easily say, I'm not signing another contract with you guys. I'm going to go shopping and I'm going to go elsewhere. And then you're losing your linebacker for nothing. For nothing. So you can't let that happen. Number 3 on my list is Jaquan Brisker. I think he's not only going to have to... Listen, this guy has been touted as a great safety. He's supposed to be first-round value again in the second round. If that is the case, then this guy should be like the eyes and ears of this defense from that safety spot. He should be that strong.
Teach Eddie Jackson how to play.
I didn't want to say that, but yes.
I got you.
I mean, listen, but that's the thing is him being back there frees Eddie Jackson up to roam and do what he needs to as a free safety.
Do what he does
exactly.
better.
Quan Brisker being the strong safety, be the big hitter back there, play that defense, call out what you need to, captain that defensive backs, right? Everybody's got their little leader in their groups, right? Jaquan Brisker should be, and I know he's a rookie, but if you want to really be that guy, if you're valued as that guy, you need to be the leader of the defensive backs, be the leader of the safeties and the corners and all of that, because you're the last line of defense. As the strong safety, you're the last guy back there, so you're seeing everything. So it's on you to make sure that you're helping Roquan kind of be like the assistant, right? In some kind of way, you're helping see what he doesn't. Your calls help him. Number 2 on my list is Tevin Jenkins. I put up or shut up at this point. I like the guy. I think he can still stick around. I think they maybe should kick him into guard. I think maybe try and see what he can do. Or swing tackle. I mean, that's fine too. But at this point, Riley Reif looks like he's at left tackle. Larry Borum feels like he's got that right tackle spot kind of under his arm right now. So Tevin Jenkins is kind of an odd man out because bringing in Schofield with Lucas Patrick and right now Cody Whitehair, that kind of sets the offensive line up right now. Unfortunately, that just sets up the offensive line right now. So where's Tevin Jenkins at? He's kind of the odd man out. He's like the 6th man on the offensive line. Which, hey, you can use that if you want. Put him at a tight end and throw him a pass once in a while or have him be a 6 blocker. But that's not what I want to see from the guy.
Talking fairy tales again.
Exactly. Save that for Mustafa or any of these other guys. I don't know. Save it for like the rookie, Jakari, whatever, who's 340 pounds. That'd be cool. But get Tevin Jenkins some experience in the preseason. Let's see what he can do. If he's a swing tackle, he plays a couple of games here and there, fine. But then that's not helping his value. He has to be a starting tackle at some point. Overseed Larry Borum. You were a higher pick than Larry Borum. Prove you were that guy.
Yes.
And then we'll kick
Step
out.
up.
Yeah, and then we'll trade Whitehair and put Larry Borum in that guard because I can't stand Cody Whitehair. I'm sorry. When you duck on a pass rush on Aaron Donald because you don't want to take the hit, I got a problem with that. I got a major problem with that.
That's softness from your offensive line
Yes.
and part of the reason why they haven't been very good.
Exactly.
They're soft.
Exactly. And then my number 1 guy, believe it or not, it's Darnell Mooney.
Okay.
Now, the reason why is because here's another guy who I want to see put that C on his chest, be a leader on this team. You are clear and above one of the top 5 players on this team. Bang for buck, you have been an incredible draft pick as a 6th-round pick who's risen now through the ranks as one of the most underrated wide receivers in the NFL. I want to see him take that next step with Justin Fields because while Justin takes that next step, guess who goes with that? Darnell Mooney. Or if Darnell Mooney can take that next step, guess who goes with that? Justin Fields. So they grow together. So this is kind of my way of saying Justin Fields is still in the works on this, of course. But I'm saying Mooney, with his progression, we've seen it. We've seen how good he can play. Last year, 1,000 yards, 4 touchdowns, pretty good for a guy that had 88 catches or whatever it was last year. That's a lot. For a guy that's 5'9", 180 pounds, that's a lot for what he could do.
I totally agree he's important to this team, but to me, like, why I didn't put him on my list was because he has improved. You've seen that on the field already.
Absolutely.
You know he's getting better and he's working his ass off.
No, yeah, absolutely.
You see it.
Right.
Proof is in the pudding.
Absolutely.
The eye test.
Yes.
Like we always say, you see it from him. I already know, to me, he's a given. Like Justin Fields, we already know he's important.
Right.
The 2 of them go hand in hand. They built a great rapport already. Which is so awesome to see.
Yes.
From a 5th-round pick?
5th or 6th round pick. He was at the bottom of the draft.
Right. So to me, like the both of them, like we said, Justin Fields, he's right there with him.
No, absolutely. And I mean, listen, I was debating on who was going to, because being that number 1, that's always hard. You want to pick somebody that you feel is certainly at that value of importance. And I think just that the fact that he adds that sparkle, that extra gear that he can give you, I think he can push that even further. I'm projecting this guy to be like a 1,500 yard guy next year with Justin Fields obviously improving with him and being in that double-digit touchdown kind of mood. I know that's asking a lot. I know that's putting a number on things, and you should never do that. But in his case, I feel like he values enough as a wide receiver to take that jump to being like, do we put him in the top 10 wide receivers? I think he could value in that area very soon.
He's already the future at the wide receiver position for this team.
Absolutely.
Not as a number 1,
No.
But he is the future of the wide receiver position for the Bears.
I'd still say he's a number 2, but
yes.
Look,
Look how many. Okay, Marvin Harrison and Reggie Wayne. Reggie Wayne was the number 2. Enough said.
Yeah.
Enough said.
For those who don't know, yes, both of them Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame wide receivers. Ridiculous wide receivers. Yes, they had Peyton Manning. Don't care.
And crazy,
don't care.
And crazy enough too, for those who don't know, they also had Anthony Gonzalez and Tony and Clark and all that stuff. I mean, so look, if they can get DK Metcalf in there with Darnell Mooney, but if this can be the year where Darnell Mooney kind of starts to pop, if he gets those kind of numbers, and then you bring in DK Metcalf,
now all of a sudden,
I mean, come on, sky's the limit.
With some of these other young guys that are prove-its, plus a new draft pick, it's funny how like adding one player like DK Metcalf can make you look at this offense and be like, maybe they might have a little something.
Yeah, dude, is the NFL not geared towards throwing the football and offense being kind of the main goal right now?
What does a big, strong, fast wide receiver on the outside do for everybody else on the offense, Andrew?
Oh man, I mean, it only.
Do you want me to just answer my question? It
the,
frees them up.
Yes.
There's more open space for everybody else because you got to double cover a guy like DK
Sorry,
Metcalf.
everybody. I was tripping over my tongue because I'm like, I can't even believe I'm about to say this.
Darnell Mooney will be running free. One guy. Plus, you're going to have these other guys, if they step up, having maybe a linebacker on N'Keal Harry in the slot if he steps up.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Wouldn't that be a dream?
Guess who's winning that matchup?
Yeah. Or, God forbid, Cole Kmet all of a sudden becomes somebody that can actually kind of get open.
We have a lot of what ifs with these players, but if they pan out, or more than half of them pan out and end up doing something with this new coaching staff, and then they're put in better positions, there is a good possibility that this roster could end up being better than it looks now.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
I don't think that's happening this year. It's going to take time.
Absolutely. Well, optimism is out there.
Like we said, evaluation year for it. We're going to find out.
Patience is key on this. This is a new regime. It's their time. We have to see who they like, don't like, all that good stuff. And I am fairly confident to say with Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus, we'll give them the time. We'll give them the opportunity. We'll see how the next year goes out, and we'll go from there. Once they have full draft picks and full evaluation, that will be the telling time. And that's going to do it for us here, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, let us know what you think about the top 10 list. Who did we leave out? Who do you think should be on there? I almost had guys like Matt Adams and all kinds of random names in there and stuff, because I think there's a lot of random guys on this team that might get some chances to be able to show themselves off. But let us know, obviously, what you think. And as always, I'm here with the wonderful and amazing Drew Gwillem. Drew, thank you so much for being here, man. I'm so glad we finally got a chance to talk Bears.
More football.
Even though it didn't start off great with the talk, but obviously
it ended well.
It ended well. Yeah. It ended well, and we have
feel good about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got a lot more to talk about coming up too. But please let the people know where they can find you, listen to you, all that good stuff.
Well,
man.
You can find me right here on the X-Bomb Sports Live Show Wednesdays and Thursdays. Don't forget, vote for me.
Yes.
Drew, a vote for Drew is a vote for you.
Absolutely.
Class president. Check me out on Instagram at d.gwill25 and Facebook at Drew Gwillem.
Absolutely. Guys, make sure to go follow Drew on all the social media. Ask him all the questions, all the comments. Give him all the good stuff that you want. He's a very good-looking man with that handsome beard. So make sure to give him some love and likes on that beard. Obviously, shout out to him.
all myself.
Absolutely. And, of course, I want to give shout out to our man, TJ Knacker, as well. TJ has the biggest, fluffiest beard of them all. You guys have commented like crazy how much you love it. So, as always, TJ, thank you so much for the love. If you want to make sure to go follow him at Knack300 on Instagram and on Twitter and Facebook. Sorry, TJ. I didn't mean to burst your bubble on that. So make sure to go give him some love on that as well, guys. And also, too, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to follow me, I'm at The Fluffy Guru on Twitter. You guys can also find me at Boom Crew Captain on Instagram as well. Also, too, guys, make sure to follow us on a Facebook page, facebook.com/Team Sports. You can also find us on the YouTube side. That's X-Bomb Sports on YouTube. Search it and find the big red X. You can't miss it. You guys can see us go live every Wednesday and Thursday, 5:30-ish to 6:30-ish. Obviously, we've been not hitting those times lately, but things have been very hectic and busy. Social media as well at X-Bomb Sports on Instagram and on Twitter. And if you have any comments sorry, questions. I'm getting the hunger burps. You can hit us up at xbsportsofficial@gmail.com as well. Now, real quickly, we'll run through it. Blow the whistle. We did the radio show today. Check it out. It'll be up tomorrow. Check it out on anchor.fm, so you guys can go check that out when it comes out. But you also catch us on Mondays, 2 to 4 p.m. Central Time. Check us also out on the TV side. We didn't go TV side today, but check us out next week, Tuesday, 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. Central Time on Facebook and on YouTube. Also, check out Brandon Janeska at 94.3 WMKR, live on the radio at the 90s hour at 9. You can also check out his amazing podcast, Baseball Banter with Brandon, on Spotify. And while you're on Spotify, too, check out Monday Motivation with Hannah B. It's a wonderful motivation podcast you can find on Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. And also, too, you can listen to her at 102.3 XOC, The Afternoon Drive, where she's doing her thing. We're not right now, but usually on every afternoon, so make sure to check her out there. And also, too, check her out at 96.7 The Star, where she's doing her thing with Eddie Volkman in the morning and the After 8 shows as well. Also, too, check out the boys at The Parlay at theparlay.com, talking boxing and fighting and all that kind of stuff. Let's get that Kendall Gill stuff going for Jake Paul, ladies and gentlemen. He's got one more shot. Let's make it happen.
You bomb.
And, of course, too, ladies and gentlemen, if you want your fantasy football needs, go to the Fake Football Guys. We'll be going live next week with some new stuff we're going to be intertwining into the show, so make sure to check it out, Fake Football Guys on YouTube. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you tomorrow. And, as always, I hope you're all having a wonderful day. And, finally, much love. Peace out, Boom Crew.